Nutanix Insights is a predictive health and support automation service built around three key valuable pillars. Number one, actionable discoveries. Nutanix Insights discovers things about your clusters that need your attention. Not only does it discover things that need your attention, but it makes very crisp, actionable callouts on how you can resolve those issues that may have been uncovered. Centralized monitoring. Centralized monitoring is this notion of a single pane of glass view, a very centralized, unified view into your entire Nutanix deployment. All clusters, all PCs across all sites and geographies from a health perspective. Number three, automated support, or what we often like to call as smart support. The notion that every time when you engage with Nutanix support, that experience is completely seamless and automated. When you don't have to create cases, the system creates a case for you. When you no longer have to collect diagnostic information and log bundles, but the system automatically does that for you. The Nutanix Nirvana. Now, how does one consume Nutanix Insights on a day-to-day basis? Since Nutanix Insights is meant to elevate your support and health experience of your Nutanix cloud, what we have done is to integrate Nutanix Insights into your existing support experience. So the way to consume Nutanix Insights is that when you go to the familiar My Nutanix portal and you launch Nutanix Support Portal, launching Nutanix Support Portal now makes available to you a rebranded, a refreshed support portal, which is powered by Nutanix Insights in the backend. What you see here is a very refreshed, very clean, very actionable experience that is focused on things that matter day to day. Everything that you have come to expect from the portal, from documentation, to downloads, to licenses, to assets, to announcements, everything continues to be available. But the new refresh dashboard focuses on things that matter on a day-to-day basis. When you engage with Nutanix support to create and manage cases, well, that's your first entry point here. But there are some new elements that are also very interesting. There is a notion of diagnostics, which is a manifestation of the smart support or support automation value pillar that I spoke to. There is a notion of cluster by discovery impact, or what I like to call as a cluster health view into your entire Nutanix deployment, which really provides you a very crisp, actionable call out to what needs your attention today. And the final widget really talks about pulse status. Insights only works for clusters which are pulse enabled. Pulse is what powers Insights. Pulse is what tells Nutanix Insights about the various configurations that you're running on your clusters, the various software versions you're running on your clusters, the state of Nutanix services and how well are they performing on your Nutanix clusters. And as we receive all that pulse telemetry back into Nutanix Insights, we are then able to run it through a humongous amount of encoded rules, which are both input by our Nutanix subject matter experts, but also are being learned on a day-to-day basis via complex algorithms that we run in the backend. And so providing you a very crisp, actionable view which says what is the pulse stat of your deployment, where in this specific case, I see that 14 of your clusters are actively sending us pulse. 2 clusters in this example do not send us pulse, and 1 cluster is actually unresponsive, which means it has been sending us pulse, but for the last many hours, now it has gone unresponsive. So it provides a very crisp call out to say which cluster may have gone unresponsive or may be disabled, that now I can go enable and begin to leverage the power of Nutanix Insights. Let's begin this demonstration by really kind of focusing on this health view into my deployment. Like I said earlier, what this pie represents is every cluster that you are deploying and managing. Every cluster, it doesn't matter what site, what geography it's running in, but it's a one-shot unified view into your entire Nutanix deployment. In this case, I can see that out of maybe a total of 17 clusters, 11 clusters, or what is 65% of my deployment, seems to be in the red, and I'll come to what red is. And 35% of my clusters, which is 6 clusters, are in the green. Being in the green essentially states that Nutanix Insights, based on the current amount of rules and intelligence built in the system, has discovered nothing that's actionable for you at this point in time. Now, this can change in the future, and this will change in the future as we continue to learn from you and all of our customers and continue to refine the amount of intelligence running in our backend. And at some point in time in future, some of these clusters which are in green might go red, and vice versa is possible as well. But this morning, as I open Nutanix Insights, obviously I want to better understand what is red. And so if I want to understand that, now I'm able to navigate by clicking on that 11 high link in the pie to this filtered view of those 11 clusters, which have what I call as high impact discoveries on them. Now, before I dive deeper into discoveries, let's just absorb the view that's available to me here. Just like you are used to on your Prism or Prism Central, here is a view to all clusters. Remember, again, these are all clusters across all sites and geographies. Doesn't matter which Prism Central they may or may not be registered to. These are all clusters being managed under your account, right? And so in this view, I'm able to see my clusters. I'm able to see the number of nodes they're running. I'm able to see the locations. In this case, the location information isn't available. I'm able to see certain diagnostics that may have been collected for those clusters. I'm able to see number of discoveries made on every one of these clusters. I'm able to see the support contract status. I'm able to see their licensing information, and I'm able to see the pulse status. But very interestingly, now I can change this, what I call as a general focus view, to what I call as a software focus view. And now I see the same clusters, but now enriched with information about the software versions that they're running. So for all these clusters, I have a one-shot view to the different versions of AOS they might be running, different versions of hypervisor they are running, NCC versions they are running. Again, a very crisp, actionable view into all of my clusters. Similarly, I can jump into a performance view where I see the same clusters, but now I get to see the CPU usage, memory usage, storage utilization, and a number of I/O statistics about these clusters. And all of this information is exportable. So I can export all of my clusters as a CSV file format in which I will capture all these different columns that I've been showcasing here. So that CSV file can then be used for any sort of offline analysis. I can use that to plot charts, or I could input that CSV file into a third-party system if that makes sense for you. Now, if I go back to my general view here, I again see my clusters, and the main emphasis of the general view is to show you clusters with the level of impact of a discovery that we have discovered on the cluster and the number of discoveries. So let's take an example of this cluster called Sonic, which clearly seems to have 5 discoveries that the system has made on it. And the high here shows that at least one of those discoveries is a high impact discovery. And if I want to see the list of those discoveries, I can click on the 5, and now I see a filtered set of discoveries specific to this cluster Sonic. As I can see, out of those 5 discoveries, there are 4 medium discoveries, and there is a single high impact discovery. So if I look at maybe this medium impact discovery, it showcases that this specific discovery, and I can actually dive deeper into that. But as I do that, the information here is telling me that this is a medium impact discovery related to the BIOS or BMC version. It's a node level discovery, which was discovered 11 days ago. And even as of 4 hours ago, when this check was last executed, this discovery continues to be valid, which means the underlying condition hasn't been resolved. If I want to better understand what's going on here, I click on the discovery. And what I see here is some more relevant information about the discovery. But more importantly, as it tells me about that discovery, it's also giving me certain recommendations, right? So there is a recommendation 1 which says upgrade AOS immediately to the latest LTS or STS version. And because I am being urged for an upgrade, the recommendation also provides a link to documentation for LCM, which then walks me through the LCM guide on how to actually drive that documentation. And that's obviously a very, very, it's a wonderful flow where I go from what is wrong or a specific issue about my cluster to a specific recommendation to actually information on how to execute that recommendation. Similarly, there is a second recommendation on running an NCC check, which provides more information. And a lot of the information about this specific issue has been documented in KB 3565. And what we have done further is to also link that knowledge base article 3565 into this discovery, so that if you wanted to better understand the specific NCC health check, which has actually fed into this discovery, you can better understand what's going on. You can better understand the specific callouts and recommendations we are making and take a well-informed, intelligent decision. So that's the overall workflow that we are trying to strive for. So maybe another thing that I can walk you through here is this notion to say that now that I have a very specific recommendation, my next step typically is to go to the cluster and drive that action. And if I wanted to do that, we've also built a very seamless transition experience from this thing that has been detected on your cluster to a recommendation to going on the cluster. So I see the cluster called Sonic here, and I open Sonic within Insights. Now, this is not your Prism. We are still in Nutanix Insights, which is your health pane of glass into your clusters. But now when I see this cluster called Sonic on Insights, and I actually want to drive an action, I want to actually go fix something on the cluster, right here from within Insights, I can do open in Prism. And what that will do is it will launch the Prism element or the cluster, the Prism running on the cluster, so that I can actually go take that action. So it completes that workflow of having detected something, having understood something, having understood the call to action, to actually executing that action. With that, maybe let me kind of go back to the dashboard here, right? So as I transition into the smart support experience that we have built here, let me quickly summarize what we just saw. What we saw was that an admin on Nutanix Insights or Nutanix Support Portal now has a daily view into what clusters needs his attention, as represented by the cluster health or cluster by discovery impact view here. This allows me to go to a filtered set of clusters that need my attention. A cluster provides a filtered set of discoveries that apply to that cluster and provides a notion of how critical those discoveries are based on the impact. Every discovery then further provides a detail on what has been discovered, provides recommendations on how to fix those things, along with detailed links to detailed articles into knowledge base articles and field advisories and security advisories, but also provides documentation access so that you can better understand how to take an action, and then eventually allows you to navigate to the actual cluster by opening Prism and take that action. That's a very powerful health workflow. The second part of the experience that we have built on this new Nutanix Insights experience is the notion of diagnostics or smart support. You can launch smart support or diagnostics from this widget here, or you could go to smart support in the hamburger icon here and go to diagnostics. When I do this, what I see is an experience that is built around automating the overall log collection and diagnostic experience that often we have been responsible for. If you really think of your Nutanix support experience or any Nutanix or any support experience for that matter, typically you come across an issue and then you react to that issue by creating a case with the support organization and then working with the support teams to collect diagnostic information, collect log bundles, ship those log bundles, and a lot of the effort and time that goes with that. With Nutanix Insights, we want the Nutanix Insights system to automate all of this in the backend for you. So instead of you having to collect logs, you having to create cases, you having to worry about how to ship those bundles to us, the system does that automatically on your behalf. How does that work? Well, the smart support system works in a couple of different modes. There is a mode called auto diagnostics, where the system automatically determines a need to collect information from your clusters and automatically begins to stream the relevant diagnostic information from your clusters. At other times, we operate in what we call as remote diagnostics, where either a Nutanix SRE working on a case requires to collect certain information and remotely triggers a diagnostic bundle collection from your cluster, or you as a Nutanix administrator decide that you want to provide certain logs or diagnostic information back to Nutanix support, and you initiate a Nutanix diagnostic collection on a specific cluster. All of these modes are possible. And through all of these modes, what is important to keep in mind is that the diagnostic information that is collected is very specific to the Nutanix services that are running on your Nutanix cluster. What you collect are the NCC health checks, Panacea log summaries, and Nutanix log bundles, the same artifacts that you provide to Nutanix support every time you engage with us on a case. So this is not anything new information or something that impedes into anything that might be sensitive. This is information that you share with Nutanix support today and is specific to Nutanix services. The second thing to know is that you are always in control. Nutanix Insights provides diagnostic settings that you can toggle as required. By default, every customer is set up for auto diagnostics, which is to say when the system or Nutanix support feels the need to collect diagnostic information, we can do so automatically. If for some reason this is an area of sensitivity for you, you can change that toggle and enable this to an approval workflow where every time the system or Nutanix support wants to collect some diagnostic information from your clusters, that essentially becomes a request to you, which you can then either approve or reject depending on your understanding of what is being collected. There are also times when you want to be in complete control, and rather than Nutanix support requesting a log collection, you might want to initiate the log collection on your own. In such a case, you can come here and you can initiate a new collection, and the entire experience has been made very simplistic. So you can actually start by pointing to a specific cluster, defining for what specific case are you collecting this information on that cluster, defining what needs to be collected. Am I collecting NCC health check and a log bundle? You can anonymize this information, which is anonymized by default, and you can specify the time window for that collection and hit start collection. When you hit start collection, all of this diagnostic information starts streaming back to Nutanix support, and without you having to really worry about executing commands on your cluster and having to kind of ship some of those bundles back to us via FTP or some other mechanisms. So the whole process is completely automated and made seamless for you. In a nutshell, to summarize, Nutanix Insights is a predictive health and support automation service. We saw the predictive health experience being manifested in terms of discoveries, and the view that we have created is very actionable on a day-to-day basis, where you start your day by looking at Nutanix Insights and seeing what needs my attention today. A list of clusters which have high impact discoveries take you to a specific set of discoveries for a cluster, which take you to a specific set of call to actions or recommendations, which further take you to provide the ability to launch the actual cluster and go make a change to drive resolution of that discovery. The second aspect of the system is smart support, where the Nutanix Insights platform or service automatically creates cases and automatically collects diagnostic information on your behalf, essentially saving time and effort that you would have spent otherwise in this support process. We hope you enjoy Nutanix Insights, and we look forward to a lot of engagement and feedback from all of you.